There are reports that 9 African National Congress members were arrested on Sunday for being in unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition. The people were on their way to attend a Mid-Illovo ANC branch general meeting. 6 of them have since been released due to insufficient evidence linking them to the charges. Now, divisions in the ANC have been a focal point for some time now. The incident has raised concern about these factional battles that are taking a darker twist. I'm joined now by political analyst Mr. Levindo to talk about this. Mr. Ndo, good to have you on the Daytime Update once again today. Now, not too long ago, we just saw this past weekend in the Waterberg and Lephalale sub-region, also incidents there of violence at ANC meetings and gatherings. But they are taking a rather violent turn of late within the meetings themselves. This one at the Lephalale sub-region, there were machetes confiscated, there were guns, etc. What is this saying? What does this signal? What is going on?
Good afternoon, Tammy. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. This should not take us by surprise. The violence in the ANC has got its history. There were times that chairs were flowing in the northwest province because ANC members were fighting amongst themselves. There are incidents that took place in Mpumalanga, where members of the ANC died. There are incidents that have happened in KwaZulu-Natal. Now, it's not surprising that we've got such incidents in other areas. The reason being that the ANC is always being found wanting when it comes to issues of discipline amongst its members. Firstly is discipline, but also at the same time, positions within the ANC are also linked to other state institutions, and that creates a situation where competition has to develop amongst members of the ANC in an attempt to get access to these positions. And obviously, when one then has got position within state institutions, it comes with personal benefits. And that is what is actually creating this kind of conflict within the ANC. And I think it is time now that the ANC has to develop clear guidelines on how they actually have to come up with representatives, but also you need the ANC that is very, very harsh when it comes to discipline. Because at the core of all these issues, I need to blame lack of discipline and no consequences on the part of the ANC.
Mr. Ndo, not singing from the same hymn book, that's quite common. We have seen scuffles not only within the African National Congress, but in other quarters as well. But when there's actually people being shot, like in Lephalale, 2 people were shot, 16 people were injured. How does one then deal with situations like that? What does that say about the intensity of the competition and the divisions that actually exist? Are those divisions even reconcilable?
Well, the most frustrating part, Tammy, is that you are getting members of the same party competing amongst themselves and go to an extent where they then have to kill each other. And what does that tell you? It tells you that there is an element within the ANC of members of the ANC not being able to accommodate each other and try to work with each other. And that becomes the biggest challenge within the party. In terms of reconcilability, it is possible to reconcile, but the biggest challenge is that the focus now is on self-interest and self-enrichment. But at the core of all this is that the ANC has always maximized quantity rather than looking at quality. The ANC is infiltrated today by people that are having other interests rather than serving the interests of the party. And that is why, even though they call themselves a broad church, you have got people who have got different views, people who have got different agendas, and they actually end up defeating the actual agenda of the ANC. That will require strong leadership within the provinces, within different branches, to ensure that they try their best to prevent something like this from happening.
And does the party have that strong leadership that is required? We know that unity has been the buzzword inside the party for quite a while now.
The ANC is busy talking about renewal. And I think in the process of renewal, the ANC must then be able to identify main challenges that actually prevents the ANC from fulfilling its own task and becoming strong. And one of those within the ANC is ill discipline. We have seen ill discipline within the ANC, even amongst members of the National Executive Committee. So even though they still have to deal with this matter, it might not be an easy task to deal with. But the project of renewal, for me, has to deal with discipline, identifying right people to occupy right positions within the ANC, and also ensuring that within the same party, you are able to identify leaders and you also have followers. And unfortunately, what I see in the ANC today, everybody seems to be wanting to become a leader, and that is something quite impossible to happen.
The scenario that you paint, Mr. Ndo, is an ideal one, but we have to remember that, you know, the situation that the ANC finds itself in right now does not come out of oblivion, that there's a history that exists, alliances that have been made. And so how does one dismantle those alliances in order to be able to start a new phase of renewal that is not necessarily based on the past and the occurrences and the loyalties of the past, but rather on the vision of a renewed party?
Well, I think at the core would be what the ANC has agreed upon at Nasrec, entering into a project of renewal. A renewal for me would mean a number of things, but in the main, it will have to identify, or the ability to identify, selfless individuals who might then be able to work only in the interests of the ANC and the interests of the South African population in general. Number two, the ANC must be able to fight and win the battle against factionalism, which is also at the very central in all this kind of divisions that we get today. Members of the ANC today, leaders at different levels of the ANC, are known along factional lines. And that is one other area that, for me, the ANC must be able to deal with and win this battle. They say amongst themselves that nobody is supposed to be on the fence. It's either you are on this side or on the other side. And for me, what will be good for the ANC is to have one united ANC that has got common goals of building a stronger party and ensuring that the lives of ordinary citizens do change. If the ANC does not deal with all these challenges that they have today, then the ANC is on the way to a serious downfall. And unfortunately, or fortunately, the ANC leaders know the problems, and it is up to them to ensure that they do something about dealing with the challenges that they have today.
Has the party, Mr. Ndo, managed to put together a structure where there are repercussions for actions for those who are violent within the party, and are those stringent enough?
Well, the ANC has got a code of conduct. The ANC has got a disciplinary committee. The unfortunate part is that you have not heard of any serious action that has been taken against those that are seen to have participated in these activities. Yes, indeed, there are pockets here and there where the ANC will say, we are expelling these members, we are suspending these members. The unfortunate part is that it is not actually done in a manner that will discourage others from participating in these activities. And at the cause of all these things is that, as they call themselves a broad church, anybody is able to become a member of the ANC with all the different elements that this person is actually bringing. And for me, the ANC should be able to screen those that want to join the organization so that this kind of activities do not happen. And unfortunately, that instrument within the ANC does not exist.
And also, I guess, Mr. Ndo, politics is very much also an issue of numbers, because those numbers matter when it's time to vote. But we thank you very much for your insight and your time this afternoon. That's political analyst Mr. Levi Ndo.